Hello, my dear students. How are you? I hope you're all fine, healthy, fit, and staying at your home. I'm very glad to teach you. So, today I'm going to teach you a poem. The name of the poem is An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. And of course, this poem is really important for as far as board examinations are concerned because every year one or two questions are asked on this poem. Okay, students. So first of all, we'll talk about a poet of this poem. Mr. Stephen Spender was a poet and English essayist. Spender had keen interest in politics, and so he declared himself a socialist and pacifist. His work concentrated on themes of social injustice and the class struggle. Okay, students, this poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, was a part of the book published. The name of the book was The God That Failed in 1949. Well, it's a lyrical poem. It's about young children. It's about it's about unpleasant lives of the poor children in the slums. And this poem emphasizes the importance of education. It also emphasizes the importance of significance of the role of teachers in education. Okay, children, so first of all, we'll talk about the introduction of the poem. The poem is written by Stephen Spender. This poem describes the social injustice and inequalities which are prevailing in the society. In this poem, he describes the condition of the children of an elementary school which is situated in a slum area. The poet wants to draw attention of everyone towards these kids so that their life can be improved and they may get trained to become good citizens rather than criminals. Okay, let's start from stanza 1. I'm going to explain you stanza 1 first. So I'll read it for you slowly, just listen carefully. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky ear of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease. His lesson from his desk at back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. His eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. So now I'm going to explain you this stanza. For further, we have given you. So here is the vocabulary for you in case if you're not able to understand the difficult words, you can go through it afterwards. So now I'm going to explain you stanza 1. Okay, in stanza 1, the poet describes the children who study in an elementary school which is set up in a slum area. The poet says that the faces of children are dull and without any energy. They are not full of energy like other kids of their age. These children are compared to unwanted weeds. Here the writer wants to say that these children seem to be unwanted like the unwanted weeds which grow on their own in the fields. Their hair is not neatly done. It falls on their pale faces as if they have been torn apart. The children are untidy. They haven't combed their hair. Then he describes a tall girl who seems to be burdened by poverty. Her head is bent, maybe because of tiredness or shame. There is another boy who is also weak. He's so weak and thin that he has been compared to a sheet of a paper. The boy's eyes reflect greed and he wants to achieve everything. Further, he says He talks about another student who is physically disabled. The poet says that this boy is unlucky because he inherited a disease from his father, due to which he has a deformed body. Instead of getting any facility from his father, he has received a disease in heritage. This disabled boy is sitting on the bench and is reciting his lesson from there only. At the back of the class, in dim, dark area, was a small boy who was not visible to the poet as he was sitting in darkness. The poet could see his eyes, which were bright and full of a dream. He was not paying attention to the class. It seemed as if he was rather interested in playing with squirrels in the treehouse. Okay, now let's talk about stanza 2. So I'll read it slowly, just listen it carefully first, and then I'll explain you later on. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized, dome riding all cities. Belled flowery Tyrolese valley, open-handed map, awarding the world its world. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, were all their futures painted with a fog. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of the world. Okay, so students, here's the list of some difficult words as in vocabulary for your further reference. You can go through it later on. Okay, now I'm going to explain you stanza 2. Here in stanza 2, the poet describes the walls of the school. So now he is explaining about the school. They are cream in color, like the color of sour cream. This means that the walls are not clean. They have not been painted recently. The walls are covered with different charts and images that must have been donated by different people. There is a picture of Shakespeare on the wall. His head, which is bad, looks like the rising sun at the horizon. At the time of daybreak, the sun is rising at the horizon and is semicircular like a dome shape. It seems to be behind all the cities. There is a picture of the famous Tyrolese Valley. There is a valley in Austria and full of beautiful flowers. There is a picture of that valley as well in the classroom. There is the image of a map which helps all in its own way. But for these children, the map of the world is irrelevant because the slum where they live is different from what is shown in the map. Their world is only what they see out of the window of the classroom. Their future is full of darkness. Their future is compared to a narrow street, which means that there is no wide scope available for their future growth. These children are far, far away from the radiant light of knowledge and education. Okay, now we'll talk about stanza 3. I'll read it carefully, listen to it. Surely Shakespeare is wicked. The map is a bad example, with ships and sun, and love tempting them to steal. For lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes, from fog to endless night, on their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel, with mended glass like bottle bits on stones. All of their time and space are foggy, slum. So blot their maps with slums as big as doom. Okay, students, here is the vocabulary for your reference. You can go ahead and look further. Okay, children, I'm going to explain you stanza 3. Here, the poet further says that these children living in the slum area have faced so many hardships that they feel every other person to be their enemy. For them, Shakespeare is an evil man. They don't find the map to be a good thing or good example for their classroom. They were never liked or loved by anyone. Therefore, they hate almost everyone and everything. Their desire of being loved by others forces them to steal. They live in small homes and they have started adjusting to it. Their life is going towards an endless night. This means that their future is full of darkness. These children are so thin that one can easily see their bones through the thin layer of skin. Their skin is like the thin layer of cloth, and the bones beneath are visible through the skin. These kids suffer from malnutrition. They wear spectacles, which are made of steel. They are cheap. Now he's talking about the spectacles. They are cheap and very uncomfortable. Even the lenses in the spectacles are repaired. The spectacles look like stones which have been repaired with pieces of glass sticking out of them. Here the poet tries to explain that these kids have to face so many hardships in their lives as these slums are getting bigger and bigger. They will destroy the future of these children, and it's very difficult for such kids to escape from them. Okay, now let's go to stanza 4. This is the last stanza of the poem and very important as well. So I'll read it for you, listen carefully, and then I'll explain it to you as well. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives, like catacombs, break, oh break, open till they break the town, and show the children to green fields, and make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books. The white and green leaves open history, theirs, whose language is the sun. Okay, students, here's the vocabulary for stanza 4 for your reference. So the last stanza here, the poet says that the government should take notice of problems being faced by these kids. Like, government should take care of these kids. He urges them to change the life of these kids and make the world happy. Word map a reality for them. There is a need to break the restrictions which are put on them due to poverty and lack of resources. He wants the governor and public to help these kids in achieving their dreams, as this will take them away from fog to azure sky. The poet here wants to say that in this way, the kids can be taken away from the darkness of their present to a bright future. He wants these kids to experience the sands and the beauty of nature, as this will lead to a desire of gaining knowledge. They will then go through the white and green leaves. Here, white leaves depict books and green leaves depict nature. This will then result in their progress, and they will be able to paint a bright future for themselves. Okay, students, that's all about this chapter today. I'll get back to you some other time now. Happy learning. Till then, stay home, stay safe, and stay healthy. See you soon.